Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the CMMG Endeavor 300 Mark III. Now, over the last several years, I've done a lot of videos related to CMMG small arms. In fact, probably their most notable one I've done was the Mark 47, which was their Mutant. It was their basically their AR that fires the 7.62x39, and it was a very interesting rifle in the fact that it utilized a system that was in between an AR-15 and an AR-10 to make the ideal 7.62x39. So since then, we've done a lot of other ones. We've done some on their 308s. We've done on some of their 223s, some of the different ones. Today we're looking at their 6.5 Creedmoor. Now, the rifle that you see here, I have to say, was extremely impressive. Its accuracy. Very well done. Of course, with a 6.5 Creedmoor, looking at a 24-inch barrel. Now, we look at barrels for this for the 6.5 Creedmoor. We're seeing most of the barrels are going to be around the 22, 24 inches, and that's due to the propellant that they're using to get a full burn, to get your full potential for your longer range accuracy. I have seen a couple rifles as low as 20 inches, but they're not very, very common. Generally, you're looking at 22 to 24 inches. You're looking at heavy barrels because you're looking at a cartridge that has an incredible potential for accuracy out to up to 1,000 yards. And I've had the opportunity on a couple occasions to fire 6.5 Creedmoor out to 1,000 yards, and I've had incredibly accurate results. We look at the comparison now between the 6.5 Creedmoor and the 7.62 NATO. We look at 308 Winchester, and we look at the two of them, and now we think to ourselves, well, which one is better? And when you compare the 7.62 to the 6.5 Creedmoor, there's nothing that the 7.62 can do that the 6.5 Creedmoor can't do better. Longer range accuracy, more potential for terminal performance. The only thing that you have that's only one aspect where you have is you go through barrels a lot quicker. You have a higher velocity cartridge, so for use in belt-fed machine guns and whatnot, it's not really a suitable belt-fed machine gun around due to the fact that it just would destroy barrels so much quicker than that of a 7.62 NATO. But for a precision rifle, you're seeing that it's excellent. In fact, the U.S. military, there was not so long ago, there was a run of M110s that came out of Knights that was rebarreled in 6.5 Creedmoor for the U.S. military. We're seeing a lot of interest. We're seeing a lot of snipers now who are switching over to it over the 7.62. It's an extremely incredible cartridge. So what we have here is an option in that caliber. And we're looking at a very nice option, again, for looking at precision rifles that you're going to get accuracy that are not going to be cheap. And at $2,400, this is not a bad price for a rifle that you're getting. When we're going to start talking about the accuracy, you're going to see why. So then what we're going to do now is what we do normally. We're going to go from butt to muzzle and look at what features we have here. Starting off, we have the stock that came on here was the PRS by Magpul. Now, this is probably the finest stock that I have out there. I put this on many of my rifles due to the fact that you have fully adjustable butt pad, a fully adjustable cheek weld. You can see your adjustment knob here for the length of pull, and for the cheek weld. At the bottom, you have a 1913 rail. I had added the Atlas monopod on here, and I had done that basically because I have arthritis. I have significant difficulty trying to get good groups with long range. This takes a lot of that work out of it, so basically all I got to do is pull the trigger right, and I can get some decent groups out of it. We have a fully adjustable knob here for up and down, and we have fine tuning on here as well, and this also can stow on here. This is an excellent option for somebody who's shooting off of a bench or whatnot who does have that difficulty with being able to hold the rifle in their shoulder and being able to get to be steady. We have a rifle length barrel extension buffer on here as well. Lower receiver, we're looking at 7075 T6 aircraft grade aluminum, which is manufactured from a billet. Pistol grip Magpul Mo. Now, those of you guys who follow me, you know that my favorite pistol grip on the face of the earth is the Magpul Naiad. This is very, very similar to that feel. It just gives so much better of a feel than anything else, for me that's out there. With the Magpul Naiad, you have the replaceable back strap and front strap. I usually put the finger groove front strap on mine here. You can see from the trigger guard here, this is part of the lower receiver. We have an ambi safety on here. We have a Geissele's trigger on here as well. This is the SSA two-stage trigger. Now, for as far as triggers are concerned, Geissele is probably number one in the industry. The Geissele trigger is used on most precision rifles, and for good reason. They are literally the industry leader in it. There are other triggers. You do have some of the ones that are put out by Hyperfire, which if you prefer single-stage triggers, Hyperfire puts out a beautiful one. You do have some other options, but I still say that Geissele is the king. We do have an ambi safety on here. As you can see, we do have a fire cartridge case deflector, but no forward assist. I'm very glad to see that CMMG has stuck with the original AR-10 design by not putting a forward assist on there, because it is not necessary. I challenge very few people that are ever going to say that they actually had a malfunction that it was useful for. And most of the time, if they do that, because they loaded the rifle on properly by running the charging handle forward. Then there's ones who tell you what's for silent loading. Well, you have a major problem with a forward assist with trying to load, especially a 308 silently, because in order to get that extractor over that cartridge case rim takes a lot of force. You would really have to smack that extremely hard, where you may as well have just loaded the rifle the proper way. So it's not so easy. The only people who see much benefit are those who want to do press checks, because they don't trust the fact that the rifle was loaded when they loaded it, which is it's a training issue. It's not a mechanical issue, but I'm glad to see that they decided not to go along with it. Magazines. These take the standard SR25 type magazines. They come with a Magpul P-Mag. In my testing, I test a lot of different kinds of magazines. I tested the standard Knights Manufacturing steel magazines, the C Products Defense, Lancers, the Magpuls. I had some of the Israeli magazines as well, the polymer magazines, and this utilized every magazine reliably without any question whatsoever. On the left-hand side here, you'll see a standard magazine catch, standard bolt catch. Now, of course, with this rifle being an AR-10 platform, you can replace ambidextrous bolt releases. You can replace different safeties. You can put ambidextrous mag releases on if you want. It'll take any of those products that you will with any other AR-10 type rifle. Now, looking at the upper receiver. As we stated before, we have 7075 T6 aircraft grade aluminum, and as we stated, no forward assist. We have bolt release. Barrel. We're going to be talking about a 24-inch heavy tapered 416 stainless steel barrel, 1 1/8-inch twist. We have a rifle length gas system on here. We do have a gas block on here that's low profile. It is put on with set screws. Yeah, that's the only critique I put on a lot of these rifles, is the fact that I believe they should be drilled and pinned. And manufacturers for commercial firearms tend just not to do that. It tends to just be the military manufacturers who have reliability standard that they are not willing to waver, so they're doing it. I do believe it's necessary. I believe any rifle that's going to be utilized for real world, that should be done. But that without saying, we fired about 300 rounds through this rifle, and we did not have any issues with the gas tube moving forward. We have your typical 5/8 by 24 threads on here for mounting any kind of suppressor that you wish. I did not put any suppressor on here at the time. I didn't really have a chance to do that. I have used 6.5 Creedmoor with suppressors in the past. It makes a big difference. CMMG RML 15 handguard, 15-inch handguard. As you can see, we have Milsair 1913 rail continuous on the top, and we have M-LOK. Now, M-LOK has been is now the industry standard. We've gotten away from key mod. Mil standard 1913 rail only on military guns. A lot of military guns still tend to retain the 1913 rails that are fixed on there, but this is the direction that the industry has gone. Normally, I would have put my Manta rail protectors on here. I didn't due to the fact that I'm not pulling this rifle. It was done utilizing a bipod. Those of you who are interested in the Manta M-LOK rail protectors, we do have a discount code for all the Manta products to save 20% off on all Manta products. So I encourage you guys to check that out. There's a lot of awesome products that are on there. Now, I had added a bipod. This is the Tango Down ACB 4 bipod, 16-ounce bipod. This is a very nice bipod. The only thing I will say is it's too high. Utilizing it on a bench, this was extremely difficult to use. Probably if you were laying in the prone position, it was a lot better. You do have adjustments on here. You have a metal body up here with polymer legs. It does have a built-in Canton Traverse on here. A good product, but anybody who's using this on a bench, I would not recommend this this for a bench setup. It just was too high. A lot of these bipods that they're putting out today, they tend to be a little bit higher. If you look at the bipods the military would use, they're probably about half this length, and then they have their adjustment. And I tend to think that's really the way to go rather than these longer ones. I would like to have seen these guys come up with one of these bipods that was about half this length when it was in its folded position, and then you could get your extension out like this. Now, taking a look at the charging handle and the bolt carrier group. We do have a manganese phosphate bolt carrier group, very, very well made. The bolt is a standard AR-10 type. This is industry standard, so any parts that you would need, you would be able to replace, which is a very big benefit to this system. Now, when we talk about industry standard, There is no industry standard on the AR-10 due to the fact that there was never a mil spec for it. But we do have two standard platforms. We do have the DPMS pattern, which is what you see here. And that's visually seen by looking at the receiver, how you have this rounded off profile instead of the squared off. And you have the AR-10, which is more the traditional angle, straight line with an angle. Now, I tend to think the original AR-10 pattern receivers are a little bit stronger, but we've never seen any issues with anything breaking. So we have a standard bolt carrier group. So again, we have here an ambidextrous. We have extended levers on here. So if you're having an optic like I have on here, which sticks out from the back, you're able to hook underneath to pull back the charging handle. And in the inside, we do have M4 feed ramps, which is certainly a benefit, so it doesn't damage the bullets as they're being fed into the chamber. We're going to talk about this optic on here a little bit. Now, the optic we have on here is a US Optics 3.2 to 17x50. It's a 34 millimeter tube. Now, unfortunately, this particular optic is no longer in production. This has been replaced by what's referred to as the FDN17X. But we do have a toolless elevation. We do have an illuminated reticle on here. And we do have some extremely high quality caps on here that are not going to break and they're not going to pop off. The mount we have on here is manufactured by ADM. It's a quick release mount. And the optics on here are just they're to die for. The US Optics makes absolutely gorgeous optics. They are not cheap. You're looking at well over $2,000 for this particular optic that's on here and its replacement. US Optics does have several that are more affordable than this is, but this is referred to as more of their military grade, and they're much higher end. We're talking about some ammunition that we tested here. We had some interesting results. Primary ammunition I normally use is Black Hills, and in this case it was the 147 grain ELDM. And I had some issues. The chamber in this was extremely tight. If you were looking at the SAMI specs, it was certainly on the upper or on the lower end of the tolerance. I had issues with the bolt locking with the Black Hills. I tried to extract the round, and I had a couple times where the bullets were caught in the rifling. So it did not like to chamber the Black Hills ammunition, which is very, very strange. So I was unable to use that. Then I tried the Barnes 140 grain OTM. There was no problem with that. And then, of course, Hornady 147 grain ELDX with no problem. The round that I had the best luck with was the SIG 140 grain OTM. But first, we're going to take this thing to the range and we're going to see how it shoots. As previously stated, the best group that I had got was with the SIG 140 grain OTM with a 0.58 inch group. Very, very impressive, as you can see from the target, 0.5. Now, I have to say both the Barnes and Hornady were all sub MOA, but the finest group I got was the 0.58 inches. Now, I had talked with Jeff Hoppman and the guys over at Black Hills, with the issue we had with that ammunition, and come to find the ammunition that Black Hills produced was well within specs. I use that same ammunition on a regular basis. I just use that ammunition with a LMT 6.5 Creedmoor, which shot just under a half-inch group. So it just happened to be a compatibility issue with the Black Hills ammunition and this specific rifle. The other ammunition that it liked just fine, and it was reliable. So my overall impressions with CMMG and this Endeavor rifle, if you're looking for a really nice 6.5 Creedmoor long-range precision rifle, this is one I would definitely take a look at. I've had a few different rifles in here. Most rifles you find in this caliber are extremely accurate. That's the inherent nature of the beast, and you wouldn't want to sell one if it wasn't. Overall quality of this barrel, using match ammunition, and quite frankly, the cost that you're looking at is not really out of whack. Most of these high-end 65 Creedmoors, you're going to be looking around the 2,000 mark, and this is no different. But the combination of the trigger that it comes with, you're not going to have to do much with it other than just throw a scope on it. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share.